Darfur, the site of one of the largest humanitarian crises in recent memory. Life's been unkind to 8-year-old Fatan, 6-year-old Takawa, and 3-year-old Hitibi. Like thousands of other children here in Darfur, these children are orphans, their father killed in the conflict. Without your help, there's little hope for their future. Every day they face the danger of starvation, of conflict, and of disease.
This is one of the largest population displaced in the world. Over half the population of Darfur is affected by the conflict.
The amount of people in need is going to increase.
You need medicines.
What you see on the ground is beyond anybody's imagination.
اسمك منوها؟
عامر.
عمر. عمرة. 12. These are the children of Darfur. This is the largest humanitarian crisis anywhere in the world today, with hundreds of thousands of children in camps like these. It's also the story of one of the largest, fastest, and most successful humanitarian relief efforts ever. We'll have a look during this hour at how organizations like the International Medical Corps have been able to save the children of Darfur. Children in Darfur grow up far too fast. Often young girls like Fatan are left with the burden of raising their brothers and sisters. Their stories are unimaginable. Umrik, how old are you? At only 8 years old, Fatan has already lived a lifetime of sorrow. What happened to your village? In 2003, rebel forces attacked Fatan's home of Gerar. The village was burned to the ground, and its population of 5,000 to 6,000 people were left homeless. Fatan's father was murdered while trying to defend his family in the attack. Fatan narrowly escaped with the rest of her family, including her mother, who at the time was pregnant with her baby brother Hitibi. Now in a small camp hundreds of miles from home, Fatan is left to care for her siblings while her mother leaves early in the morning to graze their small herd of animals. All across Darfur, children are the biggest victims of the violence that's plagued this country. The capital of West Darfur is Al Janina. Just outside the city limits lies Riyadh Camp, a large protected settlement established for internally displaced peoples, or IDPs. Living conditions are stripped to the bare necessities, but the camp provides a small measure of safety for the 15,000 people who now call it home. Along the narrow pathways of the settlement, we find Rashida, a 9-year-old girl, just one of the many displaced by the violence. 3 years ago, Rashida was happy and thriving in her home village of Suwan. Her days were carefree, and along with her 2 brothers, she attended a local school. Then one day, her village was attacked by gunmen. As the men stormed the town, spraying bullets and setting fire to the homes in their path, Rashida's brother was shot dead in front of her. She was only 6 years old. With their home destroyed, Rashida and her family were forced to flee, leaving the body of their brother and son behind. Together, they made their way by foot with little but the clothes on their backs to Riyadh Camp, where they have joined the ranks of thousands of other IDPs. Within the camp, the displaced are cared for by doctors of International Medical Corps, or IMC. IMC is an American humanitarian aid organization which focuses on training local populations so they once again can become self-reliant. IMC specializes in treating children under 5 and women of childbearing age, providing quality specialty care in the most remote and dangerous parts of the planet.
Assalamu alaikum.
Jill John Call is an American physician who has dedicated her life and her career to making a difference in the lives of the dispossessed.
Salam. Can we see your baby?
Having previously worked in Uganda and Chad, Dr. Jill began her work with IMC in Darfur in 2005 as field medical coordinator. Now, 2 years later, she is medical director in Darfur.
Well, we're a medical organization, so we focus on health, generally speaking. In terms of the women and children that come in, we give them comprehensive primary health care services. So we are giving them services like outpatient consultations. If they're sick, they come and see the doctor. We give them medicine for free. We also do reproductive health services. So there are a lot of pregnant women coming, but where are they going to get their care? Where are they going to get their tetanus shots? Where are they going to get, clean delivery kits? So we provide those also. We also do nutritional surveillance for all the children under 5 to make sure that they have enough food, that they don't go into severe malnutrition. We try to catch them when they're either healthy or at risk, so we can follow them and monitor them and make sure that they don't become severely malnourished, because once they cross that line, it's a hospital for them.
While camps do provide some safety, venturing outside of their boundaries can be deadly. However, with fuel in short supply, children are often forced to leave the camps in search of firewood. 4 months ago, Rashida had done just that. As she and a small group of children scoured the barren landscape for sticks, a pickup truck full of unidentified men drove up and began shooting at random. As the children ran for their lives, a stray bullet shattered Rashida's ankle. Left for dead, she escaped with her life, but will remain crippled without highly specialized surgery. After spending 2 months at a hospital and 2 months in another clinic, Rashida and her family now rely on IMC to help dress and monitor her wounds.
Want to see the wound?
Although her injury is healing, Rashida's past is still immensely painful. Having lost her home, her brother, and her innocence, she is no longer the happy child she once was. Not even the presence of other children can give her comfort. Since arriving in the camp, Rashida has yet to return to school. Sadly, since the beginning of the conflict, stories like Rashida's are all too common. The conflict in Darfur erupted in February 2003 when rebels began attacking government bases, killing hundreds of soldiers and policemen. The rebels complained of decades of neglect and marginalization by the Khartoum government. Neglect which stretched back through the days of the British Empire to the late 19th century rule of the Mahdi. In this scene, we see rebel sympathizers trying to kill a government representative. I put my hand on him to stop him from being stoned to death. With conventional forces stretched thin, the government mounted a counterinsurgency operation using local militias. The ensuing battle between Sudanese rebels, the government, and cross-border skirmishes with Chadian militias displaced 2.2 million people from their homes, affecting over 4 million people in Darfur. Tens of thousands have died, but the exact number is widely disputed since the deaths are hard to count, ranging from 19,000 to over 200,000. At IMC's medical facility in Riyadh camp, physicians and healthcare workers provide critical emergency medical services, as well as family medicine, immunizations, and health education to a population of over 15,000. This morning, doctors are alerted that an emergency case has arrived. This is Zahra and her 11-month-old baby boy. He has severe pneumonia. You can see that he's breathing very quickly here. There are tractions here between his ribs. He has a very high fever and a very, very fast pulse. Without treatment, a child like this doesn't last long. Pneumonia is one of the #1 killers out in Darfur for young children. Fortunately, because of the International Medical Corps, he's now getting an intravenous antibiotic. This will quickly get into his system to be able to treat the infection and to save his life. It's the work being done in clinics such as this one that has made the humanitarian response in Darfur, as difficult as it is, as successful as it is.
Yeah.
When the current crisis began in 2003, humanitarian organizations responded with the largest and fastest emergency response in memory.
Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan wa sahlan. I speak.
I was here in early 2004 with Save the Children and had a chance to speak with these mothers in Riyadh camp who had just arrived and were living in shelters made of little more than sticks.
In 2004, we had a massive emergency, and as a result of the emergency, there was an enormous reaction from the international community. 13,000 humanitarian workers came in, and we made a real difference.
Health clinics and refugee camps were established throughout the region in order to serve the displaced. Giant Antonov aircraft dropped food in hard-to-access locations cut off by rebels, militias, and bandits. These women told me that without supplemental supplies, they had too little food to even make breast milk. Massive food distributions like this one at morning camp kept hundreds of thousands of dying from starvation. Now, 4 years later, amid the continuing violence, aid workers are seeing the impact their work has had.
I think if you go back where the situation was when the humanitarian operation started in Darfur, it was horrible. I mean, it's again beyond anybody's imagination. And now, I mean, 2 years, 3 years, I mean, the humanitarian support has made a very positive contribution to improve the situation. So I think satisfaction is huge.
In camps and clinics across the region, doctors measure their success. Ali Dalbait is a Sudanese doctor working for IMC. Dr. Ali's choice to remain in Sudan and help the people of Darfur gives him immense personal satisfaction. In many ways, he is doing more than saving lives. He is also investing in the future of his country. Looking back over the past few years, Dr. Ali notes the progress of the relief effort with pride.
Figures of malnutrition are almost now going down. Although still there's some cases, but if you compare it to the beginning, it's going down. And in terms of health educations, we did a lot. So we managed to control some of the killing diseases like malaria, diarrhea, and that's really a kind of success.
Thanks to the efforts of physicians like Dr. Ali, children, such as 11-year-old Yasser, stand a fighting chance. Much like Rashida, Yasser says he was shot when he left his home to forage for supplies. A mere 5 days ago, he was collecting grasses to strengthen the roof of his home when a group of unidentified men began firing their weapons into the air. An infamous outlaw militia, the Janjaweed, operates in the area. Local authorities say they were responsible. Yasser was shot twice in the leg and nearly bled to death.
When we examined him, he has multiple wounds in the left side. It's like a bullet injury having exit and entry, even with another entry site. And then today when the father is back, he brought him here, he said, for proper treatment, because he's seeing the patient is still having pain and is not okay still.
After receiving emergency care at a nearby hospital, Yasser's father brought him to the IMC Riyadh clinic, where doctors administer antibiotics and change his dressings, ensuring that he will not lose his limb or be permanently crippled. While the doctors and relief workers are often modest about the successes of their work, the hard facts say it all.
In 2004, if you remember the pictures of children starving to death, those pictures are no longer in the media because we have been successful. We have brought malnutrition rates down from 22% to 12%. We have brought the under 5 children mortality rate below emergency thresholds. There are more children in school today in Darfur than ever before in Darfur. And that's a major achievement.
Since July 2004, IMC has been a lifeline to the children of Darfur and has saved thousands of lives. Serving a population of 288,000, IMC saw over 192,000 patients in 7 primary healthcare centers and 2 mobile clinics in 8 locations throughout Darfur last year alone. But it's not just the number of people IMC has served that has made this organization special.
We bring a lot of hope to a lot of people. Our medical staff save lives every day. When people come to our clinic, they could almost be dying. Moms are bringing their sickest kids in there and they're wondering whether they'll live or not. But I think when they come into an IMC clinic or hospital, they know that there is some hope for their children to actually live.
So what is it that sets IMC apart from other NGOs?
Capacity building is actually one of our core programs because we do emergency response as well as some developmental work. So I think when we enter a conflict zone with that kind of thinking, people are aware that we're not just there to just give them emergency response and then leave, but we're actually doing developmental work because we have hope that their future is a little bit brighter than maybe at the present time.
Okay, now he's 4 months old, having fever. Part of doing emergency is also a kind of development and capacity building, and this is really a kind of different from other NGOs because it's not just to relieve what the emergency people have, but also to think about their near future, what should be done to make them more settled and to have a better life.
Al Jebel Clinic is also located within Janina and is a unique example of IMC in action. Here, doctors, medical assistants, vaccinators, and health educators serve both residents of the city and a population of IDPs residing nearby. This intermingling of the communities helps decrease the usual tension between the groups. On average, Al Jebel Clinic serves approximately 75 to 100 patients per day. For IMC, a big part of capacity building and creating a sustainable future for Darfur is staffing.
There are 13,500 humanitarian aid workers here in Darfur. What may surprise you is that the majority of them are actually from Sudan and are not Westerners. The importance of this is that when organizations like IMC leave Sudan, these local clinics will continue to operate with local staff.
I would say at least 80 to 90% of our staff is actually all Sudanese. We don't have a large expat group here in Darfur. So we do get our motivation from our national staff, we get our dedication from our national staff, and they really help us push our programs forward.
As a Sudanese national, Dr. Ali takes special pride in his work.
Yeah, I'm really happy because I'm supporting my patients here. So my people even here. So I'm really happy because I see them smile when they finish with the clinics. When they come in, they're really in pain, and mother is crying because her child is sick. When she gets back, she's happy, and that's really give me a great feeling of happiness.
Dr. Ali is not alone in his feeling of pride from the work he does. For young Sudanese doctors still in the early stages of their careers, IMC provides on-the-job training in a field they love.
I'm very happy to work with IMC here because I improve a lot of things here. Even in the medicine, I attend several workshops with IMC, so there is a chance for you to improve your qualification, and it's something very nice to work with IMC, as I think.
This type of capacity building and long-term investment is integral to the successful future of Darfur in helping its people return to self-reliance. Moving from West Darfur into the north is Cap Kabia. Few journalists have been allowed this far into northern Darfur, an area where most of the recent fighting has occurred. At least 70% of this region is controlled by rebels. It is also home to a large population of nomads who aid workers say have largely been ignored by the international community. Darfur's other residents equate them with government-allied militias, although these nomads have stayed out of the fight, as have most of the major Arab tribes. Because of their alleged loyalties, the nomads live with the constant fear of being attacked by the rebels of the Sudanese Liberation Army, or SLA, who could mistake them for militias. Many nomads lost everything: homes, schools, mosques, and camels when rebels attacked their villages. Yet few have received support from international organizations. This is the heart of the current crisis in northern Darfur.
These are some of the oldest camel routes in the world. This actually goes north up to Libya and Egypt. It's here where the crisis in Darfur began, with increasing numbers of nomads and their animals putting tremendous pressure on the land. Also, the Great Sahara Desert has claimed more and more of the normal grazing lands. This has then forced these nomads down into the traditional farming lands to the south, and hence the beginning of the conflict.
Darfur has been called the first environmental war of the 21st century. Global warming is blamed for the disruption of the rains brought by the monsoons. As the rainfall diminished, the north became hard to cultivate, forcing semi-nomadic tribes to become fully nomadic, encroaching more and more upon the remaining grazing land belonging to the farmers in the south. In previous generations, nomads were welcome passers-by. Farmers would share their wells. Herders even fed their camels on the leavings of the harvest. Now the fault line falls between settled farmers and nomadic herders over failing lands. While the nomads of northern Darfur have been traditionally underserved by the international community, one UN agency is making a major difference. UNICEF has been working in Darfur since the crisis began.
UNICEF has been a big part of the success in Darfur. Our work is immediate and real. It has an impact on the malnutrition rates and the mortality rates. Without UNICEF and its partners on the ground, I think we would not be seeing the success in Darfur that we have.
Here at Al-Harar village, a nomadic enclave in northern Darfur, UNICEF sponsors both a health clinic and a unique local school.
These are the traditional nomads here, way in the north of Darfur. They're just graduating from school today, and these are their school certificates, which show that, in fact, they have finished another year here. This school was built in 1974 as one of the oldest schools in all of this part of Darfur. It is specifically for nomads and caters to their needs. It allows them to complete their education both here in a fixed school and on the road. This was all rehabilitated thanks to UNICEF, but is run by a local NGO completely made up of nomads. So, Assalamu alaikum. Ahlan wa sahlan.
UNICEF is working with partners across Darfur to ensure the survival and development of women and children. One such group is Al-Masar, a Sudanese charity for nomad development and environmental conservation.
Al-Masar organization work mainly with the nomads to better their life in the issues of education, health, administration of water resources, animals' health, issues of peace, and so on.
Together with Al-Masar and UNICEF, the World Food Program provides these nomadic children with a healthy breakfast as an incentive to attend school. Abu Bakr Adam Hishak is the beloved headmaster of the school.
This is the food from the WFP organization because it supplied all the schools with the food.
For many of these children, this might be the only meal they receive all day.
All the Darfurian community depend on the food distribution that came from WFP. So the nomadic community want to be included in WFP distribution of food items.
And just this is the beginning. And maybe in the next year will be the start for all the school here. We take breakfast in the schools.
Before the school feeding program, enrollment was as low as 5% for boys and 0% for girls. Now gross enrollment at this school has reached 19.8% for girls and 42.8% for boys. An astonishing accomplishment.
One of the things I always focus on is education. I mean, when I go into a place, even as difficult as Darfur, and I see girls and boys at school, it gives me hope that they will be able to have the same kind of aspirations as children in the United States.
If current trends continue, Ted's dream may not be far from reality. Thanks to programs such as this one, primary school enrollment has increased substantially in the last year, from 382,000 children in 2005 to 516,000 children in 2006.
I and all the community thank UNICEF and know UNICEF very much.
Thanks to international aid, private donations, and to the efforts of thousands of dedicated NGO staff members, the relief effort has been working. But despite these major victories, there is an ominous storm on the horizon for Darfur.
The humanitarian effort has actually done quite a bit. But what happened was, I think since about May of last year, the security has seriously deteriorated, especially from September onwards. And what you're seeing is you kind of take, one step forward and two steps back. So I think we're really looking at a situation where security is going to worsen, the amount of people in need is going to increase, and we're going to look at almost the same situation as when it first started.
Because of insecurity, we're no longer able to get to all the areas, and there are a considerable number of people that are cut off. Because of fighting, another 250,000 people were displaced in the last 6 months alone.
We still see thousands of people every day that are being displaced. We also have people coming in from Chad. Although we did make great strides in the past couple of years, just because of decreasing security, we're just seeing that whole cycle just start again.
Over the last few months, things have gotten worse. We have less access, there's been more attacks on humanitarian workers, and while we've been able to make that difference, we've been able to lower malnutrition levels, we've been able to lower mortality levels. If these attacks continue, if the displacements continue, if the fighting doesn't stop, we're not going to be able to hold the line indefinitely.
With violent attacks on the rise once again, not only are the lives of innocent Darfurians at risk, but the safety of the humanitarian workers is also in jeopardy.
In the last 6 months, we've lost 12 colleagues. The humanitarian community has lost 12 colleagues.
Despite the very real risk to their lives, the humanitarian community refuses to give up on Darfur.
Yes, we are a little bit scared when we came. But now, when we came in and we did our job and we see how we are supporting those people, how those people are really indeed in need for us, then other things can be like minor things for us, because now it's a kind of satisfaction that we got from our job here.
For me, I think it gives me satisfaction, to be there and to help, to alleviate the human misery. It's very satisfying, both as a professional person and as a human being.
There is no doubt of humanitarian workers' commitment to save Darfur. But without a practical solution to the instability that has plagued the region, the future could be grim.
What we need is a political solution. There are efforts on the way by the Special Envoy of the Secretary General for Darfur, Jan Eliasson, and his counterpart from the African Union, Salim, to restart the political process. We need to give them the full backing in order that they succeed.
That peace process was to lead to the Darfur peace agreement between the SLA and GEM rebel groups and the government. However, only one faction, the SLA Mini Manawi, signed in May 2006.
Being satisfied.
After the talks broke off, the rebels splintered from 2 groups into 8 groups with 19 separate commands, making a peace settlement increasingly difficult. The worst fear of humanitarian organizations is further atomization of the rebels into uncontrolled groups of armed bandits. U.S. State Department officials say the Darfur peace agreement is still the best hope for a solution. The International Crisis Group also calls for revitalization of the peace process and pressure to bring all sides back to the table and abandon attempts to win a military victory.
We cannot give up on Darfur. There are just too many people that are affected, and there's still the possibility of a resolution that needs to be pursued.
With a never-failing hope for a resolution to the violence, some NGOs have been successful in working with groups that also seek an end to the chaos and fighting. 30 miles east of Al Fashir, the capital of northern Darfur, lies the village of Sagal Nam, deep in the heart of SLA territory. The community lives under the control of the Mini Manawi faction of the SLA, one rebel group that has signed the Darfur peace agreement. Because of their commitment to end the fighting, the community became accessible to UNICEF earlier this year. In the short time they've been involved in the area, UNICEF, along with the help of community leaders, has made great strides. Together, they provide humanitarian assistance to the vulnerable populations of the village in the areas of health, water, and basic education.
This is a key rebel-held village. It's held by the SLA. Key point here is that there's relative peace and security here. UNICEF has brought us to see the work that they're doing here in these schools. Assalamu alaikum. Marhaba. Masal al khair.
How are you?
Prior to signing the peace agreement, this village was under regular attack. Now with the treaty in place, children are back in school, eager to catch up on what they missed.
Ayya Medina Asimat, Sudan. Khartoum. America? Asimat America? Washington. It's a pretty smart classroom here. We've gone over the capitals here. Masmuka. Masmuki. Fatima. Ashrafta.
And it's not just the students who are happy to be back in school.
When we say welcome about you,
thank you very much.
We are in peace now.
Right.
We are so now no war.
No war.
The SLM protect us from the attacks of the helicopters. Now we are comfort and suitable.
So what he's saying is that the SLA has actually made a peace agreement with the government here, and because of that, there are no attacks. Everybody is at peace, and you now have everybody happy and healthy and back in school again. Can all of Darfur be like this, do you think?
Well, I hope that all Darfur will live in peace, but some places, till now, there is no peace. I hope all places in Darfur will live in peace.
Okay? Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
As we leave the school, the SLA rebel commander in charge of governing the village stops us to talk.
It's me, Bob. That's right. So Mohammed here is a key SLA commander for this village and has come here to the school to visit with. So, is there peace now for the people of Saginaw? Amen kulashkas fil Saginaw.
Yes, in Sagalnam we finally have peace.
I'd like to know if UNICEF is helping you here now in this village.
I'm very happy from UNICEF. This is classes and water and thanks.
The water source the commander mentions is key to survival in this barren land. Without fresh water, this village would cease to exist. Thanks to UNICEF, Sagalnam now has its own borehole.
Before the war, all of this vast agricultural area here worked well. Boreholes throughout it to be able to water the animals and have enough water for cooking and for general activities around the house. Now UNICEF has a new well that they've dug out here, and this allows them again to start farming this land, taking their animals out, as you can see, for the multiple different herds around here, and make certain there's enough clean water for women and children. Previously, you had animals and humans who are drinking from the same water supply. Now you have one here, as you can see, for animals. There's a horse that's just about to drink from the animal water supply. And if you fall over here, here's a second set for people. What's wonderful about this is that you have enough spigots across there. Look at them all the way across that pipeline there, so that many of the kids can come up here and load up at the same time. What you often see out here in Darfur is just a single kind of spigot at some of the IDP camps. But this really makes life a real pleasure for these kids. You can see, of course, that they look healthy and happy. This agricultural land behind us, you see, is also finally coming back to life. It's green with crops here. And because of the peace agreement, you do have planting here, which is so incredibly important to be able to get the crops and foods that they can grow for themselves instead of being dependent on humanitarian programs like the World Food Program and their food distributions.
Through negotiations on the parts of the government and the SLA, this village was able to find peace amidst the chaos. Thanks to the efforts of UNICEF and NGOs, there is access to health care, a reliable clean water source, and safe functional schools. Sagalnam seems to be a shining example of what can go right in Darfur. One question remains: could all of Darfur one day look like this?
It's remarkable how well the operation has worked in Darfur. I mean, we need to be proud of this. It's an operation that has actually worked and succeeded. There was a massive effort and a massive investment, but it really has yielded results. I mean, I remember when I first got here, you'd go into the centers where malnourished children are, and they'd be essentially full. I mean, you'd have women with their children on the bed nets, and the whole place was full. You now go there, and there's 1 or 2 or 3 women, and that's how you measure success. I mean, you no longer have centers that are full. The centers are fewer because need has gone down. So, you know, it is a major success. We don't often get to say that what we've done has made a difference that clearly. The job is not done yet, and it won't be until there's a political solution, but we're holding the line.
Ted is also proud of what UNICEF has been able to do for Fatan and her family. Thanks to UNICEF, Fatan has access to a mobile school unit, books, and trained teachers. Now she's able to walk to an outdoor school under the shade of a sprawling tree where a teacher quizzes her on math.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She's even learning some English.
What's your name? Fasim. What's your name?
Not only is UNICEF making an investment in the future of Fatan and other children like her, but in many ways their presence here has allowed her to be a child once more. The relief effort in Darfur, though tenuous, has been one of the most successful in memory. Across Darfur, malnutrition rates have declined from 22% to 12%. In IMC's programs, that figure is closer to 1%. The overall death rate has fallen well below emergency levels to 0.6 per thousand. However, with the increasing fractionalization of rebel movements, instability is on the rise, and the NGOs are in jeopardy. Without ongoing aid from NGOs like IMC, Rashida's dream of life as a normal child will soon fade away. These children cannot survive without your help and the help of other Americans. Organizations like IMC and UNICEF take small steps every day, but those steps, with your help, have been remarkably effective.
Overall, really, we are winning because we are really giving a good support to them, and we feel that satisfaction in the eyes of the people here, and we really feel happy for that.
Is there a future for the children of Darfur?
If peace prevails, yes. But now, really, the major issue is peace and stability.
I think there is a future for Darfur even now. I think it's hard to say that anything otherwise, because otherwise we wouldn't be here, really. If there's no hope for Darfur, I think all of the NGOs would just pull out.
Day to day, it's not always easy to feel that you're winning every battle, but if I look at the last year, I look at what we've achieved. I think we've continued to provide access, and in the last 6 months, as people have been displaced, we have been there with water and sanitation services. We have been there with nutrition services. We have not seen a rise again in the levels of mortality, that children are still in school, that we have spoken up on violence against children, on sexual violence against men and women. I think that through our presence and through our action, we've made a difference. And at the end of the day, when I go home and I sleep, I feel that this is worth it.
I think so. I think there is a future.